Hello, guys. Hello, I'm live. Let me tell you, I'm hoping this goes right. And hopefully we will get Keith on here with us because this is a whole new ball game here. And honestly, I was messing up. So sorry to be late. I hate to be like even 2 minutes late. So hopefully my dear friend Keith Jowers will be joining you soon. Okay, you'll hear and see me. Did what am I doing? I'm losing my mind, guys. Hold on, time out. This is a test. This is a big test. And the only way to test it was to actually do it. So, hopefully, oh, wait, look, guest. Oh, wait, I want to put guest. Oh, he's live. We did it. We figured it out. Oh my gosh.
We did.
See, you've got to try new
I'm glad
technology.
you know what you're doing.
Can you hear me? Can you see me?
I can hear
Hallelujah.
you. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yay. So excited. Okay.
Hi,
It's always
Celia.
fun. Hi, Keith. So welcome, guys. And now that we've gotten the crazy technology out of the way and we actually figured out how to do this because this is very new to this restream stuff that we both use. So now it's working. You just got to find the little things on the bottom that I didn't see. Okay. So I welcome you today, guys. I'm excited to have my special guest here with us today, and that's Keith Jowers. He is founder of Dads for Life. He has been, I believe Dads for Life has been around for like 15 years. He has been influencing and helping dads and moms across our globe, really getting everybody to be intentional with their parents and leave a wonderful legacy for our children. He is also a police officer and school security officer, and he is Officer Keith on Facebook, and he's written many books as well. And the reason that we are doing this broadcast together is because today is International Boys Day. And we really want to come to you parents and talk about raising wonderful adult men. Because we are not raising children, they came as children. We are now working on raising men and women. But we're going to talk about men. Hi, Tina. I see a few people are starting to join us, so we must be live. I'm going to tell you a little bit about me before we get started, and then we're going to guys how we make them so that they can lead us into the future alone. I feel like in these days, before I introduce myself, because I have ADD and I'm going off topic, guys get a bad rap. Wouldn't you agree, Keith? I feel like in the news and all of that, guys are always getting a bad rap. We're always talking about empowering women, empowering women. We need to bring women in the forefront. Don't get me wrong. We need to, but we cannot forget our men. We cannot forget about the boys we are raising. Okay, so with that, I'm going to take a break, tell you who I am. I'm Celia Kibler. I'm a family empowerment coach, and I'm awfully glad that you're all joining us. Very grateful. Basically, I do what I do because, like I say, we are raising adults, not children. And in order to raise adults, you have to create a childhood that your children can blossom from and not have to recover from. So I give you tips and strategies and all kinds of techniques to really get your family on the same page, build that trust, build that respect, have a fun, happy life together, and raise miraculous adults. So that's what I do. So we have Vicky here with us. Hi, Vicky. Hi, Tina. And let me see if I can see most of these comments. There we go. I have to adjust my screen. That's the problem, is the screen is much bigger than, even though I have a gigantic computer screen, it's much bigger. Okay, so I want to get started on the importance of raising guys and why it's a little different than girls. And there are a lot of things in society today, and I think you'd agree, Keith, that boys are somewhat allowed to do more things with less control because I think parents don't worry as much. They can stand up for themselves. They can take care of themselves. Girls, we have to be a little more worried. They can be abused in different ways. Guys can too. Bullying a lot comes from guys. There's a lot of girls entering into the bullying world, but guys are bullying. And why? Because a lot of times they're bullied at home. Parents are bullying their kids. They like to call it discipline. They like to call it, well, we got to get them into shape, but they're bullying them and creating more bullies and creating aggravated males and kids and, kids that don't feel good about themselves. So would you agree with that, Keith?
Well, I would, Celia, and I appreciate you having us on today. I'm very thankful to be with you today. I was a young boy that grew up. My dad died when I was 11 years old, so I grew up without having that influence in those crucial years from 11 to 18 in trying to train me up in the way I should go, so to speak. My dad died very young, so I was very young, and it was very difficult. So yes, I do agree that we have to be really focused and we have a lot of dads that we've worked with that have sons, and they've told me it's kind of difficult at times, sometimes to get them to understand what they're trying to teach them, basically, because we are full of energy as boys. I was full of energy, but I had no one other than my mom, and she knew how to reel me in, thankfully, from time to time. But it's very difficult when a boy is just allowed to do what boys do without any kind of guidance.
I totally agree. And Keith, I apologize. I introduced you a little bit, but I didn't give you a chance to really go into introducing yourself. So let's take a break for a minute, and I just like to hear from Keith and let him really tell you what he does and his magic he adds to the world.
Well, I've done a little bit of magic when I was Officer Friendly and tried to impress these little kids, but I don't know about magic for the world, but I try hard. My wife and I started an organization about 15 years ago, actually going in our 16th year. We are Dads for Life International. We have come to encourage, enhance, enrich dads in what we consider their greatest asset on earth, and that's their children. I believe you can invest in stock markets, and we can see where that's been lately. You can invest in people, and people will let you down sometimes. But when you invest in your children, even though they may not do exactly like you want, when you invest in them for the future, and I was just talking to a couple of dads today, actually, about how they invested in their children and how now that their children are adults, they look back and see how those children are affecting other people by investing in those people. But had those dads not invested in those children, which I believe is your greatest asset, because once you're gone, your name, so to speak, should live on through your children and by them helping carry the torch, so to speak, in blessing other people. Because I'm a firm believer, if you go through life helping only yourself, you'll go through life alone. But when you invest your children, Celia, as you and I have discussed this before, it is so important for the future. So Dads for Life began about going on 16 years ago here shortly. And we started working with dads, helping 4 dads. That's how the number 4 came into our name, to go through that divorce situation like I did in my early 80s. And when I didn't want to be in that situation, but I found myself in a situation, but never gave up on my daughter. And I started investing in her all that I could. So little did I know that many years later, when 2004 we began, early 2004, that it would lead to what it has today. And that is Dads for Life International. And we have several thousand followers around the world. So all we look to do is encourage. And encouragement goes a long way, especially with your children, especially through what we've been through in the last several weeks of our world and our country, and how we've had to adapt to new things and encourage our children that we will get through this. So Dads for Life has been here now for that long, and we continue to grow quite a bit, and going in different areas now and trying to help parents any way we can.
Absolutely. And, you are a blessing, and your organization being around for so long is really just blessed many parents. And I know we've talked about the fact that a lot of times moms join your group because there are single parents out there. And moms want to make sure that they're bringing in the male point of view into their family, since they have to play two roles. And very often, guys play two roles, and dads are trying to bring in the female point of view. Just want to say real quick, hi to Leisha, hi to Joseph. Thanks for joining us, guys. Okay, so I think, I always hear the statement, well, boys will be boys. Boys will be boys. That statement is like said like a million times. Like that gives them some kind of excuse to either be overly aggressive or not kind to someone, or it just flushes away their feelings. And, guys, that, boys have feelings just like girls have feelings, and those feelings and emotions, they need to be justified. They need to let your kids know that those are good, emotions and feelings that need to be felt. They should not be pushed away just because you're a guy. If you're crying for some reason, they should not push it away just because you're a guy. You need to deal with emotion. You need to learn how to deal with emotion. And, when boys especially are told, stop crying. Why are you crying? You're acting like a little girl. It muffles them so much that it actually takes away their emotions, and they become very cold and very, like, what's the word I'm thinking of? Stoic. There is no emotion there. And I think that's a huge problem as they grow up to be men. Can you talk on that a little bit, Keith, what you think?
Well, I can, because when I was a young boy, 11 years old, when you lose your dad, I had some of my dad's friends, they try to say hello and try to talk to me back then. But when they went home after the funeral and all that was behind us, I mean, it was my mom and I, right? And she'd see me crying and she'd understand. But then, when you go to school and you have those moments, you're thinking about your dad and you're trying to do your work or whatever, and I have a breakdown or whatever, I'd have to go to, the dean's office for whatever reason. But and there were times I went there for other reasons, but I definitely had to have some moments where I could deal with my emotions, because as an 11-year-old boy, I mean, you're dealing with your dad that passed away right behind you during the evening, and you wake up to find that it's very difficult on those emotions. So boys do have emotions, and you have to. I've heard, boys don't show their emotions in public and that kind of thing, and I really believe that can hurt an individual down the road. But yeah, I mean, there were tougher times when I had to take care for myself. I had a couple of bullies you mentioned earlier on in, and I had to well, I had to deal with those in a way, and I dealt with them. But it was because nobody was helping me deal with my emotions prior to that moment that I dealt with them the way I dealt with them. But they never bothered me again. But still, I had to do what I had to do because I had all those pinned up emotions, Celia. So it's important that parents recognize that when their kids find out why their emotions are kind of, derailed a little bit.
Yeah, I think, as parents, regardless of whether you have a boy or a girl, you have to allow them to have emotion. And if it's a very, I'm sure, Keith, when you lost your dad, that was almost an uncontrollable emotion and you had to calm down. And sometimes, younger children get all upset. You have to let them have that emotion. Now, you shouldn't talk to them if they're like throwing a tantrum or they're having a fit. Let them calm down, but acknowledge the emotion they're having, because boys are always, they grow up in this society thinking they always got to be tough. And in other countries around the world, I know they take care of boys by hitting them all the time, which in my eyes, when you hit a child all the time, you give them permission to hit. And it
Mm.
doesn't solve anything except create an adult that hits and that uses their emotion for anger. and that's how they relieve them. Or if they're not allowed to have emotion, then that's when people turn to drugs and alcohol because they don't know how to deal with disappointment and different kinds of emotions that, they were not allowed to release. And so a lot of times they find, well, how am I going to deal with this disappointment? How am I going to deal with this feeling of overwhelm? How am I going to deal with this sadness? Well, I'll drink, because that's okay. It's okay in this society to, go have a beer, go have drinks with the boys. Those are slogans that are said all the time. And the thing is, I think we have to recognize more that boys are people too, and they should be raised as human beings that have emotions, have feelings, should have compassion for other people, should have kindness, but also feel a strong confidence, self-esteem, and self-worth so that they can go forth and they can become the adult male that they are gifted to be. And we all know that God has given us all kinds of gifts. We all have gifts. And you want to, let that blossom. So go ahead, Keith. You can talk
Celia,
about it.
yeah, you're fine. I spoke with these two dads earlier today, and one of them, both of them, I've talked with about fatherhood, but one of them I actually spoke to that I actually worked with when he went through a divorce many, many years ago, and he and I were discussing how his two boys that he raised on his own actually was just he didn't know what to do. He and I had spoke over the years, and as he was raising them, but he raised them to be quite gentlemen. When I see them in public, they actually are quite gentlemen. I mean, they'll even hold a door for a lady, and they even told their dad one time that, hey, some people look at us strange when we do that. Like they never were taught that and that kind of thing. So, but it's good to teach your kids, manners and values and that you grew up with, because we're losing them. It's like a lost art.
It is.
Being polite. Even through what we've been through in these last several weeks, I mean, I told a lady, we were talking, I said, you don't have to be rude. I mean, I'm standing my distance here from you, but you don't have to be rude. And because even though we go through tough times, we can still be polite, and try to help people. You don't have to, and when you teach your kids, boys or girls, how to, just to help other people and be polite, and teach them values and morals and things that you grew up that are right. I mean, my grandfather and our studio here is 425 because his address was 425. And I remember sitting on his porch and we discussed honesty and treating people right. And if somebody needs something, try to help them. I mean, when people would walk by, he would always ask them, are you hungry? Mr. So-and-so or whatever, come on up here. We got plenty of food and that kind of thing. Well, it taught me a lot by listening. I didn't realize 35 years later, I'd be naming a studio after him, So it's just when you teach those values, they sit with you and they stand with you, not for a time, but for a lifetime.
Absolutely. And let me just say hi to Brittany and Bonnie. Thank you for watching. And guys, if you have questions for either of us, please feel free to put them in. If you're raising boys and, there's something you're concerned about, you're raising girls, put them in the chat stream. We'd love to help you out with that. Yeah, manners and kindness. Oh my gosh, Keith, I'm like crazy about well-mannered kids. And I think this brings us to an excellent topic of being a role model. And, the whole thing that you say is that you're passing down a legacy and you have to role model. You have to be a well-mannered adult. You are not going to raise a well-mannered, courteous, respectful child if you are not a well-mannered, courteous, respectful parent. Respect, I always hear parents go, well, they have to respect me. I'm their parent. No, they don't. Why do they have to respect you? Because you put them on this earth. If you disrespect them, all you do is you're teaching a child that they can disrespect you. Sean says, treat the janitor the same way you would treat the CEO. Absolutely. We're all
Perfect.
human beings.
Perfect.
And if you haven't gotten out of this virus situation that we're in right now, in my eyes, this is the one time that no matter where you are in the world, no matter what, political affiliation you're with or socioeconomic status you're with, whatever country you live in, wherever you are, we are all in this together. Why? We're all human beings. And if you can understand that regardless of what that human being does, you can see them as being an equal person to you because they're of the human race. And human kindness is a human trait. So be kind. It's like, and the other thing is, is work ethic. Build that work ethic in your children. Yeah, it was Martin Luther, the statement that Sean made me think of it. Martin Luther King said, and I am going to misquote this, I guarantee you guys, but I'll give you the gist of it. He said that the person who sweeps the street should make sure that he does the best job sweeping the streets. It's like a tongue twister. Sweeping the streets that he can possibly do, so that when anyone walks by, they can look at him and goes, there goes a great street sweeper. And it's true, be proud of the job you're doing. Put pride in your children so they feel pride in themselves. And I think when someone feels pride, they reflect that pride onto others, and they're courteous and they're well-mannered, and they kind of have a glow about them. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do agree, Celia, and two things come to mind. Number one is I was I was in the store earlier today, a grocery store, and I'm really thankful for our grocery store workers and all the. I mean, without them, who knows where we'd be with all this because they kept things going, and they've adapted. They wear masks. They put up these things in front of the cashiers. Well, there was a problem with our cashier ringing me up for some reason. She had hit something she shouldn't have hit, and so she had to go get a manager, and it was taking a while, but she never told me what she was doing. So I looked at the bagger, and he said, "Sir, I don't know what's going on. I'm just a bagger." I looked at him. I said, "Young man, you're not just a bagger. You are my bagger, and you did a good job, and I appreciate that. So don't look at yourself at just being anything, whether it's a janitor, a street sweeper, or anything that you believe. I mean, I even thank my garbage man if I see him out there picking up my garbage in front of my house, because they sometimes they look at you and they're going like, really? I mean, yes, really, because I want to know, imagine your garbage man not coming by. This, I mean, we'd have an issue. So you want to be thankful to those kind of people. And I think that we teach our children, our boys and our girls, we teach them to be respectful of a person until if they disrespect you. I mean, it doesn't mean you got to go after them with all guns, blazing. And I just mean that in a figure of speech, obviously, but obviously people go a little bit crazy sometimes when they're disrespected. But I'm saying that you just go on, and it doesn't mean the end of the world. Life is going to go on. And sometimes if somebody treats me wrong or something, and I don't want to come back on them or whatever, I say a prayer for them and say, hey, that person's having a bad day. Somebody's treated them wrong today, and that's what's got them thinking like that. So I believe if we do everything we can as parents, and we're not perfect. Our daughter will tell you, Dad's not perfect, but at least she knows that we've been there for her and tried to help her. Not gave her everything on the planet, that makes her happy. But I'm talking about teaching her values. And now she's teaching those values to her children, which is quite important.
Yeah, absolutely true. And, I think in this time, during this virus, if you haven't figured out that the people that do the basic jobs in life, that they're not always, they're like, oh, I'm just a clerk. Oh, I'm just this. They're the key to society. The sports figures, the movie stars, they're not what's keeping this country running. the people that are doing the everyday jobs at maybe minimum wage or a little bit higher, they're the people that are keeping this country running. And they're the people that deserve our gratitude today and every day past this virus. And I wanted to read a couple comments. One is from your lovely wife, Glenda. Work ethics are not being taught now as they were when we were growing up. Not sure why someone would rather stay home than be productive in life. Amen to that, Glenda. Amen. And Tina says, I'm a single mom and my son is 21 months old and I want him to grow up and be a good man. I just don't know what to do without a father figure in his life. Yeah, Keith, Tina is a single mom. She does not have a father figure present, and even the father of her son, I know her because she's a client of mine, is not present in his life. So do you have advice for her?
And we've talked with moms like that in some of our work, is that if you, Tina, I don't know if you're involved in a church or not, but talk to the pastor, find out there's gentlemen in your church that help out. We have, through our church, we have a boys program, and that men invest in those boys' lives and try to do what they can because they know the situation of some of those boys. I remember as a school resource officer many times ago, and I'll get back to Tina in just a moment, but I was always encouraging the kids when I see them doing really good on the basketball court or football field or whatever. And I remember a kid shooting a 3-pointer, and it was nothing but net. It went right in, and I told him afterwards, I said, "Man, that was a great shot." He said, "Yeah, it'd have been better if my dad had been here." And that really spoke volumes to me back then. That was long before I ever thought about starting Dads for Life. So what I think about when I think about someone like Tina is that you try to find somebody, maybe your brother or an uncle, somebody in his life that's positive, that can invest in his life and talk to him about manhood things. Truett Cathy, the founder of Chick-fil-A, he was investing in boys all of his career, and his business just flourished, obviously, to where it is today. Now that he's gone on to heaven, but yet he worked and invested in men. And he wrote a book one time, and he said it's easier to invest in boys than it is to men. And that has a lot of power statement to that, because when we invest our time now to help those boys, I think about some of the issues I had as a teenager, and I think about my mom and the investment that she made, but she was also working many hours trying to survive as a widow, but yet she was doing what she can. So Tina, as a mom, you invest in everything you possibly can. You got some things you're working on. Nobody can help you. Reach out to Dads for Life. We can only offer advice, that things that we've worked through with other parents, and we've helped a lot of single moms just by encouragement. It goes a long way. But yes, try to find somebody in your circle, your church, your family, somebody that that you can trust for good advice for that child. I don't know what boys programs you may have around your area, but just check them out first. So.
Yeah, and Glenda's mentioned Big Brothers and an organization, excuse me, called Take Stock in Your Children. And Sean, hi Sean, by the way, thank you for watching and contributing. Sean said, involve your son in sports, team activities, which help teach them to
Absolutely.
be a man. And yeah, sports. Now, go ahead, Keith.
I was just going to say, yeah, coaches. I don't know. That slipped my mind was coaches, and also like if they're old enough to be in school with a school resource officer, talk to them. I know as a school resource officer, I invested countless hours in many children's lives simply because I wanted to understand, first of all, there's somebody that cared about them, and second of all, is that policemen are your friends. We're not here to hurt you. We want to help you. So yes, I mean, just look around and. Anything there's got to be somebody around that could possibly help Tina, right, or other mothers like her.
And as boys get older, because I know, Tina, your son's still, 2 years old, but as he gets older, there are teachers. I know when my son was growing up, and bless his heart, he does not lack in confidence or anything like that. And he's a silly, fun, super fun guy, big, super fun guy. But he had a science teacher in high school that he just you know, he adored this guy, and this guy supported everything Kyle did, and his friend Nate, and they would, spend time after school talking about things, learning about different things, and they had a lot of, you know, support with each other that were vital to high schoolers. And of course, he was, used to that age group. Yes, Glenda, grandfathers, absolutely. Generations, generational storytelling, all of that, invaluable. If your grandparents are alive right now or your children's grandparents are alive right now, connect with them. Let them sit and spend time with them. There is so much to be learned from previous generations and who many, many tribes and groups call our elders. That is like, gold. That is gold in your pocket.
Mhm. Absolutely. Grandfathers are very important. We were FaceTiming with our grandchildren earlier today. Of course, they were in the swimming pool. They didn't want to get out, but at least we were doing what we can, and I love to invest in them when we're able to be with them. But yes, that's quite. In fact, we're writing a book this year called "Lessons We Learned from Grandfather." Because those are some great nuggets of truth that if we don't continue those, Celia, we're going to lose those. Kind of like those lost art jobs that people don't want to do anymore, the trades and that kind of thing. If we don't continue investing in our grandchildren, oh my goodness, that is just, it's just something that's really kind of unconceivable, because we want to make sure we continue that art.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Sean just said, also learn how to say no and teach your sons how to fail and lose with grace and dignity. Absolutely. We touched on that earlier. Knowing how to deal with disappointment. I always tell parents, and I'm a fitness person. I have a kids fitness company that I've had for over 30 years. And I always tell you, two most important muscles to exercise in a child's body is the disappointment muscle and the waiting muscle, because we need to learn how to wait for things and understand that sometimes you don't always get what you want. And you need to learn that in life, we don't always get our way. Things don't always go your way. So the disappointment muscle is huge. And you need to understand that there will be ups and downs through this roller coaster called life. And when things don't go your way, it's not the end of the world. And a lot of times if you make a mistake or something like that, have fun. Incredible things have been made and brought to this world through mistakes. So mistakes are to be learned from. They're to be tweaked. They're to find a new path. They're gifts. They're not, punishment or trouble. They're a gift in the journey of life. So now
And Celia, I'd like to just say, when we're bringing up our day, God gave them. It may not be the same job that you have or the same sport that you played. It would be what they were made to do. I mean, I think in Scripture, Jeremiah 29:11, for He knows the thoughts and plans He has for us, for us individually, and make sure that you encourage them in the best way that you can as a parent. And you may have to redirect them. I mean, our daughter changed her major several times because some things weren't working out, so we just kind of guided her where we could. But she still came out to be the very best of what she can be doing, and that's basically encouraging ladies and changing their lives and finding the direction for them. So, but I'd like to bring out a few things, if we could, just to help your sons. I mean, I know it's International Boys Day, which I never knew there was such a thing. You shared that with me?
I know. I have to admit, I didn't know either, except that another coach that I work with often, she did a special workshop for her clients. And I was like, oh, I have to say something about it. And I looked at, lo and behold, today is International Boys Day. Yesterday was the International Day of Families. So yes, there are. I don't know if it's tomorrow's girls or not. I have to check that. But I thought, who better but you?
The two dads I talked to this morning, they were like, "What day is it?" They never heard of it either, so they knew about it too. I said, "Yeah, go ahead and celebrate celebrate your boys. So one dad's taking his to the beach, and another one to get with them later on. But anyway, it's just interesting. But some things that they pointed out to me was that they brought their children up to trust God and be very fearful. I mean, to know that, to be God fearing men, and teaching them that things aren't always going to work your way. You're going to have to work around, the problems, like you were saying a moment ago, the disappointment. One was teaching them it's okay to be masculine today. It's okay to work on your muscles and all that stuff. Don't be afraid to be a boy. And but do it with responsibility. And all these boys I'm talking about, these 6 boys I'm talking about, with these two different dads. One has 4, one has 2. They're all good guys. I mean, good godly guys that their parents have brought them up to be. Was teach them responsibility and to be kind to people. Don't be rude. Don't shame our name. Don't be using language that we didn't teach around this dinner table and that kind of thing. Another one was just to be honest. So when you think about those things, and I would just add to that is just encourage them on a regular basis, because encouragement is powerful, and teach them manners in every way possible. Manners is a lost art, it seems like, anymore. But I still think no matter what, I still believe no matter what, Celia, we teach our kids manners, it will pay off for them and the others they deal with down the road.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And use your manners. The best way to teach your children to speak using their manners is for you to use your manners. Yeah. I have a client and I asked them, they're trying to get their children to use their manners. And I said, do you use your manners? And she said, well, sometimes, we've been married a long time. I've been married to my husband for 25 years. I still use my manners. If I ask him to get me something, I say, please. If he gets it for me, I say, thank you. When he cooks dinner, I am grateful that he cooked dinner. And I'm like, thank you so much. Or I'll say, thank you for doing the laundry, because we have 2 jobs. He does laundry. I do dishes, because I don't like laundry. He doesn't like dishes. And I always say, thank you for doing the laundry. And he's like, you don't have to thank me. I'm like, yes, I do. Because I'm grateful that you do it and I don't have to. So use your manners. You're never too old to use manners, and I want to mention something else. And that is, understand your children too. And you're talking about, discovering their gifts. Tune into them. Watch. You can just sit and watch them. Ask them what they want to do and do it with them. Take an interest in their things. I bring up video gaming because my son is like an avid video gamer. I think he was born that way. When he came out of the womb, he wanted to play video games. He's always done it. He had a schedule. He was not allowed to do it all the time. But he grew up, he got a degree in video gaming, he went to work for a video game company, met his wife there. I mean, he just loves to play video games. But when he was younger and he was playing a video game, I would go in there, sit with him, and ask him to teach it to me. He didn't like me to play, don't get me wrong. I was not his favorite buddy, but because I was never good at it. But I took an interest in what he was interested in. I did not, just say, well, you can't play video games. This is what you should be doing. No, they should be doing anything. They should be taking an interest in what they have an interest in. And then you take an interest in that. That doesn't negate schedules, routines, limits, and boundaries. I'm not eliminating that. But I want you to tune into your children and discover what drives them. What are they passionate about? Are they artists? Are they musicians? Don't judge them. Don't criticize. If you have a son who is interested in dance, there are plenty of incredible dancers that are men. There would not be ballet if there weren't well, they're not ballerinas. What are they called? Ballet people. I don't know. I don't know what a guy ballerina is called. I don't think it's called a ballerina. But I take an interest and don't prejudge them. Really tune in and look at life through their eyes. Recognize their age, Red, don't talk to an 8-year-old like you're talking to an adult. He's 8. He's not an adult. He's not going to answer you to as an adult. He does not have the skills to answer you like an adult. Okay, so I went off on that little tangent. And I don't even know where I started from there.
When you and I get together, Celia, we never know what's going to come out, do we?
No. And thank goodness, it's pretty good stuff.
Yeah. Was there a question in that last comment? I can't remember.
Sean, I really appreciate your comments because they're great. He was talking about failing with and considering yourself to fail or lose with grace and dignity. Absolutely. Absolutely. Really knowing that just because something didn't work out, it is not the end of the world. And to get aggressive about it. And I think a lot of the aggressiveness that boys learn are from the role models they have. Because if you have two parents and they're screaming and yelling at each other, and God forbid there's violence against a woman that's in the house, or, a father is, doing even mental abuse, calling names, labeling, calling their wife stupid or things like that. That's what the boys will learn. And that is a reaction to something going wrong. Somehow that dad was disappointed. And so instead of dealing with it, he took it out on someone else. And that's definitely what we don't want to teach our children, certainly not our boys or girls.
Absolutely. And I dealt with that a lot in my career. And it's just, I had students actually come to me and talk to me about things that were going on in their own home. And then I'd have to take on the professional hat once I got them calmed down. And it wasn't always the best case outcome, but I had to do what I had to do, but it would help the child be released too in her emotions or their emotions. I remember one student particularly that it just broke my heart, Celia, because I never knew what I was going to get to when I went to the office one day, and a student came to me and said, could you just check so and so? And I said, why? I said, what's going on? I said, it's only about the midday. Something happened already. She said, well, just check her arms. So it was midsummer, and her arms were all covered up, and come to find out, she had been cutting herself throughout the night, and it just really broke my heart. And I said, can you tell me why you did this? And she said, well, this arm is 75 reasons that my dad said he didn't love me, and here's another 75 reasons on the other arm. And I'm going like, oh my goodness. And literally I'm sitting there counting these in my eyes back because I just her, and basically I got her and got some professionals involved, but I hugged her and just talked to her and told her that that's not the way life is supposed to be. And once I got her some help, and then, it was a mid-teenager years, and then I went and had a little chat with the family, and I'll leave it at that. But the point is that it just really, really concerned me that without this girl's encouragement, even from anyone, me or anyone else, where would she have been? So you've got to encourage your kids. You got to love on them, boys and girls. And, it's okay to hug your sons. Okay. I remember a dad one time, he said, I don't care where it's at. If I want to kiss my boy on the side of the face, I'll do it. I said, oh, there you go. That's good way to think, because, and the boy seemed to like it because, he grew up with that, knowing that dad was just an affectionate type guy. So I appreciate everything you're doing to help families, because we have to encourage parents today. It's a difficult world out there, and we have to encourage each other. So we don't want our children to go through extra emotional problems that they don't have to, just by letting them know that their parents love them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And as dads, as moms, I think we really need to be spending one-on-one time with if you have more than one child, make sure you're spending valuable one-on-one time with your child. I mentioned Kyle, and Kyle is now 32 years old. We still have dates together, him and I, and he's married, doesn't have kids. He has cats. But we go on dates together. Every time a new superhero movie comes out, after he's seen it about 4 times with the people he really wants to see it with, then we go on a date and we go to dinner and we go see a superhero movie. And it's like our tradition. My daughter, we go on weekends together, her daughter, and me, so that we always have that one-on-one time. And we've done that throughout their childhood, and it has continued. Your kids need to feel that they matter regardless of who else is in the house. If they have siblings, yes, they love their siblings, but they need to know that they're always special too. And, another thing I want to make in relating to that girl, and I'm so sorry for her sadness that she felt she needed to do that to herself. But when you yell and scream at kids, when you abuse kids, when you are totally, labeling them, doing destructive behavior to your child, they don't grow up hating you. They grow up to hate themselves. Kids always love their parents, no matter how horrible they are. But the people they don't love is themselves. And I don't think any of us gave birth to children for them to grow up and hate themselves. And that's where a lot of that aggressive behavior comes out. Your beautiful wife said more things. She said, still encourage at every age level, even though at 5, they want to be a fireman, at age 8, a vet, then at 10, a basketball player. Right. They're always changing. They eventually do get directed to a career or a job, even though you're a single mom. Do guy things with the sons on date. Yes. Yes. Do guy things. Superhero movies. I love superhero movies, but yes, there's a lot of stuff that if they're interested, they're in a direction, like perfect example, because Keith, you are a policeman. My grandson wanted to be a policeman. Now I'm not sure he still wants to be a policeman, but I was like, well, let's look and see what it takes to be a policeman. Let's go talk to a policeman. Let's see, sometimes you can do ride-alongs where you get to go in the car with them. Take an interest in what they're thinking they'd like to be and help them research it and see if that's really the way they want to go. And, in a year, they might want to do something else. But always, like you were saying before, encourage them.
Always. And, I believe that you've got to create a positive environment in your home. No, it's not always going to be perfect. I'm not even thinking about that. But one thing I always encourage dads to do and moms is have the dinner time at the dinner table. Not, you get a plate and go to your room and lock the door. You get a plate and go to your room and lock the door, play your video games. No, this is come to the dinner table. And I saw a post at Thanksgiving a couple of years ago, and it was a grandmother who everybody can love coming to her house, but she had a table over there with chargers and said, that's where you charge your phone. You don't bring that phone to this table. And that's when I started talking about the no phone zone. And when you're sitting around the table, you actually talk about what happened with your day, what your expectations are for tomorrow, that kind of thing. It's not, sitting there and texting. One thing I've seen in restaurants, and my wife and I go out, a whole family is basically seem like they're ordering their meal on their phone. They don't ever talk to each other. They just look at their phone. And I believe it's so important to have that downtime from our electronic devices that we depend on so much today.
Yes, absolutely. And, just eating dinner together at the table is so important for communication. You sitting in front of a TV, it's bad enough this world. Hi, Dee. Hi, Ree. This grimy people around. It's bad enough in this world that we're all on devices. We are like separating ourselves automatically by this one being on their tablet, this one being on their phone, this one being here, this one being. Parents sit there on the couch with their phones while their kids are doing whatever. Eat together. You communicate. Talk about your day. You worry that you eat too much. Eating together is a natural way to eat less. When you talk, less food is going into your face. And then your brain is recognizing that you're filling faster because you're giving yourself that time, that 10 to 20 minutes to give it to register that you feel faster. You will automatically eat less. So you don't have to go on a diet, eat together with your kids. And usually it's been proven that when people eat together at a table, they eat healthier as well. But it's really important to just have downtime from the electronics and connect with your kids. And do not do this and look at your phone while your child is trying to talk to you, because you are sending a direct message to your child that you could care less about what they have to say, because this phone that is in your hand is much more important. Hi, Jennifer.
That's good.
So anyway, guys, I mean, we could probably keep talking forever, but we've got 50 minutes, and I'm grateful for Keith for joining us. Before we lose all of you, I would love Keith to tell you how you can connect with him, because he is amazing and you should connect with him. So, Keith.
Well, thank you, Celia. Before I give them our website and information, I appreciate you once again. You and I and my wife, we met I don't know, over a year ago. I know it's been almost 2 years, I guess. Anyway, whenever we met, we started talking and we just kind of hit it off together, and both of us doing the same thing, and kind of work different areas. But I appreciate you so much and what you're doing to help parents today and staying connected. So with that, I have a lot of books, my personal library, and it has some great philosophers in there. And I know you love to read to children. So I pulled out one for you. And I would like to end, this is how we can raise our children, okay? From this great philosopher named Dr. Seuss, okay?
The best.
Oh, the places you will go. And I've done this before, and they were going like, well, that's pretty cool. So anyway, I just want to end by saying this. If we invest in our kids, this is what can happen. You might want to tell them that you'll get mixed up, of course, as you already know, and you'll get mixed up with many strange birds as you go. And so be sure when you step with care and great tact, and remember that life's a great balancing act. Just never forget to be dexterous and deft, and never mixed up your right foot from your left. And you will succeed. Yes, you will indeed. 98.75% guaranteed. Kids, you'll move mountains. So there's still that little bit more that's not 100% by 98.75%, as Dr. Seuss, this great philosopher of life, wrote in this book. But I want to tell you that parents, just do what you do, but do it with enthusiasm, do it with encouragement, do it with the best attitude you can. We don't all have the best hair days. I understand that. Mine are getting fewer. But I can tell you this, that when you invest in your children, you'll go a long way. I'm Keith Jowers. My wife and I went on 16 years ago, and we are working to encourage, enhance, enrich dads, and all we can consider their greatest asset on earth, their children. However, we do help a lot of single moms and encouragement, because a lot of moms are doing both roles. We found that out many years ago through an email. And I want to tell you that you have a great job ahead of you, and you're not going to be perfect, but you can do it the best of your ability through God's eyes. So, and working with him will be better. So anyway, but yeah, you can reach out to us at dadsforlife.com, or go to my name, keithjowers.com. We have books there. I wrote a couple of officer-friendly books, a couple of other books dealing with parent connections, and we're writing 2 or 3 more this year if I can get them all going again. So I'll tell you, life catches up with us. But reach out. I'm there every on our Facebook page, Monday through Friday,
you have a podcast,
at 7 a.m.
Right?
Daily Connections is Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. I do the Friday Night Live at 8:30 p.m. And then we do a podcast there, and all those are listed on our website too. I also do some speaking engagements. You can read about those there as well. So it's dadsforlife.com, or go to my name, keithjowers.com. And we appreciate everything you're doing, parents. Keep on doing it. And Celia, we love you. Appreciate everything you're doing.
I love you too. You guys are the best. And my podcast should be ready, I'm hoping, this coming week, the Pumped Up Parenting podcast, because I like alliteration. So, so
Actually,
hopefully that will be going.
Celia, you're on my podcast. I think
You're
you're on
what?
one of my podcasts. I can't remember which number.
Oh
Remember we
yeah.
did a podcast together.
Oh, that's right. We
So
did.
you're on.
Yay. Yay. Yes.
Yeah,
We love doing things
you're on
together.
board. So,
Well, thank you,
yep.
Tina, and thank
So,
you
but
for watching. And to everybody else, we're super grateful that you joined. We're grateful for your contributions in your comments. And I hope that we help you celebrate your sons and your daughters and have days filled with peace, love, tons of laughter. It really is the best medicine. And we'll all see you next time here on Facebook and around the web. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Keith. Thank you.